Ladies and gentlemen, could you please sit down?
I personally provided.
No, that's going to my deck. That's not going to do anything for you. You want this into your system. Okay, so you want me to give you some examples?
Yes.
Give you some more mic here?
As soon as we get the microphone squared away, we will start the meeting. But while we're waiting, I would like to tell everybody that because this meeting was called specially at the invitation of the committee, it will only last till 10 o'clock, and we have to leave this premises at 10 o'clock. So I want to use as much time as possible to get Mr. Sullivan on and start answering some questions.
Testing, okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Ad Hoc Turnpike Committee meeting. And before we introduce Mr. Sullivan, who was gracious enough again to accept our invitation to explain at this special meeting the impact on a preliminary basis how the widening will affect the homes in East Brunswick, we specifically asked him at the last meeting, for those of you who were here, if he would come back at the earliest possible date and not wait till the formal hearings, which will take place at the end of February and March, to inform the residents of what was happening as soon as he knows it. And he did agree to come back and talk to us, and he graciously has. But before we do that, I'd like to have 3 brief committee reports so the public knows what this committee is doing. All right, and I'll call on David first.
My name is David Gordon, and I have been appointed by Ed as the chairman of the legal subcommittee, the purpose of which was to find and recommend to the mayor and council attorneys to represent the municipality and this committee in connection with the various hearings which will be held on the Turnpike project and, if necessary, in litigation. After interviewing and discussing a large number of firms, we have recommended to the mayor and council, and Mr. Bush, the township engineer, is handling that recommendation tonight at the council meeting across the parking lot. The firm of Burley, Cass, and Case from New York City. Sitting at the table to my right is Mr. Michael Gerard, who is a member of that firm. We selected the firm because of their expertise in highway projects and in environmental projects, and specifically because of their experience in leading the opposition to the Westway Highway project in New York City. We will not know until later this evening, and I guess technically till next Monday night, whether the council takes our recommendation, but we really do not anticipate any problem.
Thank you. I'd like to call on next Gary Cobb, Traffic Committee.
Briefly, we are interviewing probably the latter part of this week, a company that you may have heard that did some work for us before in the township, Worth Rogers in Pennsylvania. Some of the other numerous people throughout the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast area that we've talked to on the phone are R.L. Banks, Tracy Hayden and Associates, Wilbur Smith and Associates, Robert Morris, Garmin Associates, Henry Nye, and about 3 or 4 other major traffic consultants. And we should have somebody to present to the council within 2 weeks.
And the last committee report, Irv Spawn, Environmental.
My name is Irv Spawn. I've been selected as the chairman of the Environmental Impact Subcommittee. We're, at the present, in the process of interviewing air and noise pollution consultants who will, in addition to reviewing any data submitted by the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, will conduct their own independent surveys in order to evaluate any environmental impacts caused by the proposed expansion. We hope to have we're interviewing several now in the noise area and in the air pollution area, and we hope to have our selections made within a week or 2.
Thank you, Irv. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Joseph Sullivan, Chairman of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. And again, I'd like to thank him for his graciousness in coming here and accepting our invitation and to explain these preliminary plans, and I think he will hopefully answer all of our questions. Mr. Joseph Sullivan.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you all for inviting me back. Before I get started on this, the last time I was here, we had some questions that were submitted to the council in card form, and with very few exceptions. I don't know who submitted them. In that envelope, if I can give these to Mr. Cohen, and perhaps at another meeting or later on, whatever you want to do, I've typed out an answer to each one of the questions. And if those people who submitted them can identify their own cards, you'll find their answers in there. And as I said before, any other questions, drop me a note or ask Mr. Cohen or call me.
Bring it up at our next meeting, the regular meeting.
What I would like to do, in view of the time constraints that we have, what I'd like to do is maybe take 10 minutes to give you a rough idea of this plan here, and then another 10 or 15 minutes on the plans that are underneath, and then allow as much time as possible for questions, because I'm sure I could talk for 3 hours and probably not focus right on the particular points that you want covered. So I think to the extent that we can open it up for questions as much as possible, if that's okay with you folks, that's a format I'd like to follow. The other thing is I'd like to finish up my end of it by say 9:30, and that way it'll allow a full half hour for the people to get a closer look at it. If that's okay with everybody. This is the what's referred to as the 100 scale map, which starts. Excuse me, please. As far as I'm going to get. That's all right. Don't worry. Can you hear me all right? Modern First question was, how come there's two microphones? One is for the loudspeaker, one is for the TV cameras. This is the northern sector of the East Brunswick area. This is the Turnpike Headquarters Administration Building. This is Interchange 9. This is the Tower Center site. We run from here, these maps run from here all the way south to where Milltown cuts in, and then we go back into East Brunswick and all the way down. Some of you may not be able to see all of this at this distance, and that's what I'd like to leave more time for later on. But along in here, you may be able to see a red and white dotted line. Those red and white dotted lines will follow the entire map all the way down. They represent the existing New Jersey Turnpike right-of-way, which means that the Turnpike owns the property up to these lines. The high-intensity orange lines are proposed new rights-of-way, which would allow us to widen the road all the way down. And as you can see, there are quite a few of these I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. These orange lines follow all the way down and would represent, on this configuration, the widening where we would be taking property. Especially in here, where we're on Sherry Road, we have the Colonial Pipeline under here. If we came out here, we would probably cause the pipeline to be moved. This whole street would be in trouble. In here we have Wellington Road. A similar situation would exist there. This, of course, is industrial property. We would also have a problem here on Jean, and we could probably have a problem here on Corona also. If we went to these high-intensity orange lines. Again, we would be widening in here, and there's marked in red Kennedy and Townsend. There's a whole group of homes that would be lost in that area. And of course down here is farmland. I don't think we're really too concerned about that at this particular time. Pardon me?
No questions.
You'll be able to. So in any event, what we're looking at here is the original plan that we started with. And I must admit, this plan, in its design, configuration, in the minds of the engineers who were working on it, this was done prior to Mr. Cohen contacting me, prior to the town meeting, which we had here before, prior to our receiving from you people your comments, both by phone and orally and by questions. As a result of those questions and comments, and also as a result of input, which we had into the environmental impact statement. And I probably should interject here that the draft environmental impact statement is made public today. Mr. Cohen has a few copies, the city clerk has a copy, the public library has a copy, and the Department of Environment here in the municipality also has a copy. So a lot of what I say comes from that environmental impact statement. A lot of what's in the environmental impact statement is in response to Mr. Cohen and his committee's comments to us, and also what we've heard directly from you folks. So when you come up later, you can see that this is the beginning, and you can see the widening, and we think probably a lot of problems, especially in these areas. Now, with your permission, let me flip these back and show you where we are at this point. Again, using the guidelines of the high-intensity orange being, this is orange, I think. That's red, that's gotta be orange. Whatever. Anyway, the high-intensity colors indicate where the turnpike will require additional property. The red and white striped line that runs vertical on the map is the municipal boundary between East Brunswick and New Brunswick. Again, here is interchange 9 and the Turnpike Authority headquarters. You can see right there where it says interchange 9 that we have shown on there a widening of that interchange and a future widening of the access road heading for Route 18 westbound. However, we have not yet shown any improvements to the Narracon Bridge because that's still under consideration with respect to another matter. What you see in yellow are the new lane configurations for the turnpike. And if you notice, until we get here to Sullivan Way, I don't know why they named it Sullivan Way.
Former mayor.
Until we get to Sullivan Way, there is no proposal for the turnpike to add any property to what it already has. Now what we're doing, how do we do that? What we're doing, again, I have to go forward and show you that, because what we're using is a cut and fill system of construction. This is not any one particular place. It's just a general schematic to show you what we're talking about. This is 3 North Street, 3 South, for example. Here you have homes that are currently below the turnpike line. Here you have homes that are currently above the turnpike line. Rather than maintain these slopes and knock these houses down, by cutting and filling, what we will do where the road is lower than the adjacent property is we will cut it back, build in retaining walls, so that we stay within our right-of-way. These fences, incidentally, represent our rights-of-way. On the other side, where the properties are lower, again, rather than pushing those slopes into people's yards and taking the houses down, what we will do is build retaining walls on this side and fill that in. Again, with retaining walls, so we keep all of our work within our right-of-way. Again, the right-of-way indicated by the fence. Using this system where it's appropriate on the road, and I probably ought to just get right into what I'm sure concerns a lot of you, is what houses get impacted on this. We're proposing building a new Sullivan Way Bridge across the turnpike. We will impact this house, and I apologize, I don't have the names of all these people. I'm sorry. Okay. There's a house here on the corner, and then there are 2 up in here. We feel that this intersection here will be beneficial to the safety of the kids at the school, because it will open it up. So we've got those 3 that we have to interfere with, regrettably. That's all to there. And there's one down here across the turnpike from the Colonial Oaks Firehouse. And the street name is not on here, so I don't know what the street name is.
Church Lane.
Church Lane. And there's a residence in here where I believe there's 3 families. There's 3 names on the mailbox. I think I have those names if you want them. And I believe that's it. Pardon me, those names? This house here? The three names on the mailbox on Church Lane are Robertson, Wright, and Von Loo. That's my information. I think it's a house that's connected with porticos or something. Other than that, we're not taking any houses there. We will be, question was asked, how close we'll be to the properties. We will not be any closer than existing rights of way. Now, let me just add one more thing before we get to the questions. When you look at this, you will see at certain points, I want to explain these labels, so as you can see here, you'll see things that say proposed retaining wall. That's shown as a black line, and it's clearly labeled. And again, where you see the orange or pink or whatever they are lines, where it says proposed ROW, that's where the right-of-way will be widened. And again, I don't believe the rights-of-way are going to be widened in any area where there's any residences. Down here in Middletown, of course, this is vacant farmland. The other point I would like to make is, and again, I hope this answers some questions, you will see indicated on this map a note proposed noise wall. Now these noise walls will go up again where indicated on this chart. And these, I can't tell you exactly how high they'll be or how low or how far in length they will go, because that will depend upon empirical testing to see what's being affected. Obviously, in some places they'll need to be higher, some places won't need to be as high, and so on. But we have provided for, and the environmental impact study also incidentally includes all these noise abatement considerations. Just let me show you again, if I can walk up forward for a second. We're showing here just examples of noise barriers up on top of the retaining walls. Again, all the noise barriers will be placed on Turnpike property. They're not going to be on the line, they're not going to be in your yard. They're going to be on Turnpike property, which is, we're able to do that by using this configuration so that we do not get any closer than the right-of-way already is. There's one area, again, I want to explain, if I can find it. I think it's in Middletown. Beaverbrook Estates, which is off Hardenberg Lane. That's in East Brunswick, okay. There's an area here where we do not have a proposed sound barrier. The reason we have not proposed it there is that our information indicates that the developer who developed that section already has an obligation to do so. And therefore, if he's going to do it, we don't think we should have to do it also. One other point I should make is leaving the Joyce Kilmer service area at service area 8N. The original configuration showed a truck lane coming down along this row of houses on Hershey Road. We felt that the trucks coming down that lane would impact adversely from a noise impact these people on Hershey Road. What we've therefore done is move the truck traffic to the inside and have put in cars only coming out this way, and have proposed again a noise barrier through there. Also, by moving the turnpike widening to this side, we're taking away existing truck traffic and moving it further away. The net effect, not only here on Hershey Road, but I think on the entire residential community of East Brunswick, we feel that the net noise effect will be a general lessening of noise. And that's true whether you live right along it or whether you live 2 or 3 or 4 blocks away from it. I know at night, under certain conditions, even at some distance, you can hear noises.
No questions, please.
Okay. just trying to cover everything that I'm supposed to cover, I think. And I'm trying to assist you in looking at this after the meeting. Where you see, here's something else I should explain. Here on Main Street in Milltown, we're going to build a temporary detour road and expand the bridge, and then the detour road will come out. So when you see this road, which is striped, it's marked temporary detour, but that doesn't stay. Railroad is a railroad bridge, new bridge configuration on Riders Lane. I said before, a new Sullivan Way bridge going across. New Dutch Road Bridge, which will parallel the existing bridge so that there will not be any, and the reason we're doing these new bridges is the current bridges are too small to handle the traffic, and if we were to shut the bridge down, you'd be without a crossing for as long as it took to build the project. So we're just going to build a new one, leave the old one there until the new one is finished, then the old one will come down. A new Hardenberg Lane Bridge, new Church Lane Bridge. Down in this area, the widening is exclusively to one side in order to avoid this Hershey Road section that runs in back of the Joyce Kilmer service area. So that everything on this Hershey Road section will go away from you. I think that's my explanation of it, and let me take questions for as long as it takes.
What I'd like to do is start with the committee members, and then if we have time, we'll recognize members of the public. And I wish you would continue the decorum that you have. My congratulations on it. Please be a little patient, and we hope to get to everybody. Yes. Mr. Sullivan said again that he would graciously answer the questions in writing. If you have any questions that do not get answered, leave a note and he will take it with him and bring it back to the committee or send it back to us. And remember, we meet the second and the fourth Thursdays of every month. I'd like to start with the questions on the right side.
Why don't you just hold it?
Bill Schultz, 19 Sherry Road. I just want to hear a repeat. When 30 scale plans are anticipated complete, and when they'll be presented us for review. Did everybody hear the question? The question was, when will the 30 scale plans be complete? And when will they be submitted for review? We expect that the 30 scale plans will be finished around early April right now. Now, let me explain what 30 scale is. This is 100 scale, which means 1 inch represents 100 feet. You know, your usual traffic road map, you have 1 inch equals a mile, or 5 miles, or 10 miles. This is 1 inch equals 100 feet. 30 scale is 1 inch equals 30 feet. So that a 30 scale plan of this will be more than 3 times this long. So I don't know how we're going to really present it unless we go outdoors. But it will be available for public view and questions. This 100 scale plan is the plan that will be on display and plans just like it for all the information meetings that will be held up and down the Turnpike. And the East Brunswick meeting is scheduled for the last week in February, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Will these 30 scale plans represent what may be proposed as far as the noise barriers with the completion of the EIS?
I think so. I don't know. Now, what do we need? More empirical data from the field?
The generalized noise barriers with the average height will be ready by that project. The specific height, each location will be ready.
This gentleman is our environmental consulting firm. That's the answer. Did everybody hear it? The question was, when the 30 scale plans are made public, will they show all the details with respect to the noise barriers? The answer is no, they won't. They will show a generalized idea for the noise barriers. It won't be until after that that the specific heights and lengths and locations will be available.
One more question. It is not uncommon when contracts of this nature go out for bid that changes or alterations be made based on the bid package and the prices that come in. What assurances or guarantees do we have that we will be protected once these are put out to bid and that certain items, for example, noise barriers, aren't deleted?
I've given Mr. Cohen, the question was, what assurances do the citizens and the municipality have that after the contract is let, that the Turnpike doesn't go ahead and issue change orders, which, for example, could eliminate noise barriers in one stretch. I've already given Mr. Cohen the assurance that there will be no change orders done on this contract of that nature without first making that information public to the committee. The second control we have, and this is an area which has been abused in other states, change orders. The other control is that all our change orders are passed upon at public sessions in the New Jersey Turnpike Authority.
Michael Gerard, attorney. Is there a particular date by which you have to start or finish construction without having problems with your bonding?
No particular starting date, because we've got to get started within a reasonable time. I think that the financial community understands that. We are under a 5-year deadline with respect to the investment proceeds earnings on the bonds. If we go much beyond 5 years, we get in trouble with the IRS.
Will either this section or the northern section require any permits from either the Army Corps of Engineers or the United States Coast Guard?
I don't believe we need Coast Guard down here. We don't need Corps down here either, do we? We do? We need Army Corps just about everywhere, as you all know, and DEP. Army Corps asked us to do one single EIS on the environmental impact statement on the project so we wouldn't try to hit them with links and then ask them to fill in the links, perhaps less desirable links, later on. That draft is available for you this evening. So we will be working with Army Corps and DEP, and in fact, have already accepted input from both of those authorities in preparing the environmental impact statement. And I've said publicly before, and I've said it privately, and I've said it to every agency that's involved, that it's our intention to make this widening a model of environmental efficiency and minimal impact, and we intend to comply not only with the letter, but the spirit of the regulations, even federal regulations that would not ordinarily apply.
Final question. Does the environmental impact statement explain why you need a doubling of the capacity of the roadway in this stretch?
Yeah, the environmental impact study does address that point, as does the traffic study. For some reason, the complete Wilbur-Smith traffic study is not in yet. The only information I have on that is what you have in the prospectuses that were issued. And as soon as that becomes available, that will be available to you also.
Susan Casper, County Drive. I'd like to know approximately how close will the proposed right of way come to most of the homes? Approximate number.
The right-of-way will stay where it is. Won't change. The road, how close will the roadway come to the homes? I don't know. I really don't know what the setbacks are on that.
62 feet. From property line? No, from point, shoulder point to shoulder point.
This gentleman is with the consulting engineers firm of Howard Needles. Dennis Conklin, who wants his pointer back. Doesn't trust me.
If you take a comparable point,
Okay. It'll be 60 feet closer than it is today. 62, I think, to be exact. So I think it varies from house to house and where you live. So that if you're 200 feet away in the future, it would be 140 feet or 138 feet.
Did the Turnpike use sound monitors, your consultants, to determine which areas would need sound abatement?
The question was whether the environmental consultants used sound monitors to study which areas need sound barriers. And the answer is yes. The environmental consultants did go out to physically monitor the noise. Irving Spawn.
Would you kindly repeat for the group at large? I know you've said it before, but you covered it rather hastily. With regard to the availability of the environmental impact study, is it completed now? Or if it isn't totally completed, when will it be and to whom will it be released?
The environmental impact study, which is at this point called a draft environmental impact study, draft because it is still subject to review by the reviewing authorities such as the Army Corps of Engineers and the State Department of Environmental Protection. That draft environmental impact study is available. It was published today. 3 copies were given to the municipality, 1 to the municipal clerk, 1 to the public library, and 1 to the Department of Environment within the municipality. In addition to that, we have delivered this evening to Mr. Cohen and his committee that box on top of the piano, which, how many copies are there? That's the full McGill. That's 1 copy of 6 volumes. That's not only the environmental impact study, which the summary of which runs to about 300 pages. There's about an additional 1,200 or so pages of backup materials. Like a pound, that's right. If you need more copies of the executive summary, and I think that only people that are skilled in this field are going to find most of the backup data really meaningful. But as far as the executive summary is concerned, let us know and we'll be glad to make additional copies available.
Is the EIS you referred to, does that relate merely to the widening in this area, or is that for the entire widening project?
Relates to the entire widening project from Route 46 in the north down to interchange 8A. It was done that way at an Army Corps' suggestion because in the past they have had people that are building much bigger roads than this will go after them for permits on the easy, non-impacted environmental sections. And then they end up with 3 or 4 sensitive sections and they feel pressured or under the gun to approve those sections so that they won't have missing links. Their suggestion was to do the whole thing as one entity, and we've complied with that. Let me open it up just so we can show them. You can lift me, you can lift that. This is the environmental impact study, which is the executive summary. These volumes that are being pulled out is the technical backup material. Why don't I just read the titles? Air quality and noise, socioeconomics, cultural resources, biological resources, and natural resources. If I saw a preliminary draft of this draft, and I would suggest that if anybody here has difficulty getting to sleep at night, that you pick up a copy of this, take it to bed, and I guarantee you will immediately pass into the nether world with this on your lap. Interesting stuff.
I have 3 questions. On the new proposed bridges that you're going to be building, like on Dutch Lane, Dutch Road rather, Church Lane, what side of the current bridge do you put?
The question is, which side of the current bridges will we be putting the new bridges? Let me take them in order from north to south. Sullivan Way, we will be to the north of the existing bridge. Riders Lane, we will be to the south of the existing bridge. The Railroad Bridge will be to the south of the existing Railroad Bridge. The Main Street Bridge, which is in Milltown, will be right where the current one is. That's the one where we're going to build a detour bridge temporarily. Dutch Road, we will be to the south. Hardenberg Lane, we will be to the south. This is Church, right? And Church, we will be to the south.
Are you going to be taking additional right-of-ways? That's what I thought you had said earlier. And then talking to Susan's answer, it didn't sound like you were.
In this area, we will be taking additional rights of way. However, in the areas that we're proposing to do so, we do not see any disruption of residences, with the exception of the right-of-way which will be required for the new Sullivan Way Bridge. And that's an east-west crossing. With that little mark in there, we'll be adding right-of-way. In here, we'll be adding right-of-way. Here, everywhere you see these orange or pink lines, however, with the exception of the Sullivan Way area, none of those additional right-of-way increases are near residences. They're all woodland or farmland, or some of it's industrial.
Final question. Now I know on my property and my neighbor's property there's an access road that's been covered over, which you originally used. Are you going to be using these again?
Construction access road? I don't think so, are we? Emergency access points will stay the way they are. That's in case something overturns anything out of there. There's no plan to build new roads to get on the roof.
You have indicated, Mr. Sullivan, that the environmental impact statement is a draft. Can you tell us what has to be done to finalize it and when we could expect to see the final results?
To finalize it, the Army Corps and New Jersey departments, the Department of Environmental Protection, will have hearings and accept input from the public and from other experts and interested parties. After that testimony, I'll ask the attorney, how long do you think it'll take? 50 years. If we've satisfied the environmental requirements, I would think that we could probably expect to get a final somewhere in May or June, something like that.
Do you know when the public hearings will be on the environmental impact statement?
No, I don't. I visited the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection last Thursday, asked them that question. They said they were reluctant to give me a hearing date for two reasons. One, they hadn't seen this yet. Two, they were just in the process of assigning various departmental people to review the data. Three, they were not sure whether they would have joint or separate hearings with the Army Corps. So they just didn't want to give a date, but they were estimating something in the neighborhood of 6 weeks from today.
And with regard to the proposed noise barriers that have been shown on this plan, is this the final stage of the authorities thinking as to where noise barriers are needed, or is it possible that they'll be expanded or contracted?
I would doubt if they'll be contracted, unless people don't want them. If they don't want them, we won't put them up. Possibility for the noise barriers to be expanded, yes, that possibility exists. That's the reason the data is public. That's the reason the environmental impact study is public. That's the purpose of the public hearings. If, based upon public information, the Army Corps, the Departments of Environmental Protection, New Jersey Turnpike, received from the people an idea that, I'm not being protected from the noise, I'm quite sure that that'll be in it. We're not trying to save money on a $2 billion project for the sake of a couple hundred feet of noise barrier.
Mr. Chairman, it appears that based on the pink lines that you put in, which are your new proposed right-of-ways, where you're going to acquire additional property, that in the center and the southern portion of the town, you're acquiring more property than you actually need. Is that in anticipation of a future expansion?
That's a loaded question. When did you stop beating your wife? Number one, I don't think we're taking more property than we need. The reason you see us taking property in here generally is to solve drainage problems that exist along the thing, along the roadway. If you see here, we are well within our right-of-way. When you get down here, it looks like we're taking more than we need. But what we're doing down here is we're expanding the turnpike all to one side. That's why we need the additional property. And the rights-of-way alongside the roadway will not exceed what they already are. But we also do hope to control drainage and water flow that way.
I had a particular reason to ask that question because the area that the Turnpike owns right now, which is directly opposite the Joyce Kilmer rest area, was one of the beginnings of an interchange for the late lamented Driscoll Expressway. And I was curious if that is in your future thinking, another connecting link across the state between the Parkway and the Turnpike.
The Driscoll Expressway was supposed to, or the Toms River Expressway, depending upon how big a fan you are of Governor Driscoll, was supposed to link through from approximately this area, cutting across the state, ending up in Toms River. That project was proposed in the late 60s, I believe was approved in the late 60s. A program of engineering and land acquisition went underway in the early 70s. In the 1973 gubernatorial election between Governor Byrne and I guess it was Charlie Samuel, right? Senator Russo from Toms River felt, along with the townspeople, that to build that link would be a mistake insofar as it would create a funnel of unwanted traffic that would end up in Toms River and ruin the nature of their community. Then Prosecutor Judge Byrne sided with John Russo, campaigned in Toms River and said if I'm elected governor, that Driscoll or Toms River Expressway will never be built. Brendan got elected governor and canceled that whole project. For 8 years, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority was in the position of owning a strip of land that cut across the state and canceled the construction contracts which had been let in late in 73. Strangely enough, when I became chairman of Turnpike, the people in Toms River said, how about if you build that expressway? We need the transportation down here so we can get some business and industry. We did study it with our independent consultants, Howard Needles. At that time, it indicated that to build the Toms River Expressway would have been astronomical in cost, and we could not project that type of revenue or use that would support that capital investment. As a consequence of that, the project was finally canceled, and we have now disposed of all that property, I think save one lot that represents that right of way. In exchange, however, for that, the Department of Transportation has promised those people in Ocean County that they're going to continue to do major improvements on the state highways that serve the area.
Did you consider in the Lawrenceburg-Birchwood area at the northern end of, just below the exit, depressing the roadway further so that you would decrease the noise environment?
I don't think that we considered depressing the roadway itself, but you get that effect when you use this type of cut and fill configuration. As you can see, here you've just got a rather soft berm. Here you've got a retaining wall, plus where needed, a noise barrier on top. we feel, again, subject to how the citizens feel, we feel that this gives better protection both from sight and sound. And we do get the effect of depression without actually lowering it.
Have your environmental consultants considered any experimental noise barriers? It could be since this is the home of the Turnpike, we could be used very nicely in this particular area to see if we could come up with some innovative noise abatements and work with you, since you've been so cooperative. Have you considered anything but the standard things that we're seeing up on 287 and around the Washington area?
It's my understanding that the 287 barriers, which I think are going up on Route 24 also, from what I can see, that they in themselves are rather experimental. We don't have all the data in on them. We have not yet, neither we nor our environmental consultants, have not yet decided upon a particular type of noise barrier. But it's open for study, for results. If those on Route 287 are found to be the best in the world, that's what we're going to go with. If Dallas, Texas is using something else, which is better, that's what we're going to go with. We're going to try and go with the state-of-the-art noise barrier. I don't know whether I want to use the area as an experiment station, because that way some residents may get a barrier that's not as effective as the other residents. A, that wouldn't be fair to them, and B, then we'd have to tear it down and replace it with what proves to be the best. But it's our intention to use the very best state-of-the-art barrier that's available.
I'm listening very nicely to everything you have to say. And I don't know why I'm more confused about what you are doing than anybody else. I see the yellow lines, I see the fluorescent orange lines, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to ask a very basic question. How many feet at a time do you want? On each area, which way are the lanes going? Where are you doing construction? You say you're doing 6 lanes on that side, and I don't know what you're doing down at the other side. I understand what you say when you say a retaining wall. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to do to my community. I live here. You use it once in a while. I live here.
The retaining walls you can't see, nobody can see my leg. When you take a closer look, the yellow lines show the new lanes, so that here, these lines represent new highway, these are existing. So that shows you that we're on this side of the road here. When we get up in here, you can see the new yellow on either side. That shows that we're on both sides of the road at this point. And the reason it looks confusing is because this configuration shows the photograph of the existing road with the proposed lanes superimposed. So it looks really looks kind of goofy. When it's done, it all flows smoothly. But this, I admit, I mean, why does that stop right there in the middle? That stops right there in the middle because that particular barrel will just continue to use that and flow up this way and on down. So that from here all the way up to the north, as you can see, from this point, we're on both sides of the road. You can see where it looks like it's kind of all yellow in there. That's the point at which we now go from 12 lanes to 6. And that's where we've got to add those lanes in that area. When we get down here, because of the Hershey Road and Gunpowder Drive people, what we do is we move it off to the other side of the road. If we had moved it on this side, you can see we'd come right through here, taking Hershey Road right out. So this is an attempt to bother these people as little as possible, and by moving the roadway away, actually, we feel make it quieter and less visible.
So the yellow is the new lanes you're going to build, and that floating pink stuff is what you're going to add.
The floating pink stuff represents the new right-of-way lines. In other words, right here, here's really the best example. In this area here, our existing right-of-way follows this line like that. And that's the red dot is existing on both sides. That's what we currently own. Now, in order to try and keep the roadway away, we're going to add to our right-of-way here and move it that way. And what the floating high-intensity color indicates will be our new right-of-way, not roadway, the property that we'll own. The yellow is roadway pavement. These lines are property lines.
I had one more question. I'm very bad in math. That's 62 feet that you just did? That whole 6 lanes is 62 feet? On each side? So you come in 62 feet, with the 3 lanes are added on each side, that's only 62 feet? You add? Each side. And that means in some cases, your fence or barrier are going to be right where kids playing in the backyards. No.
The fences and the barriers do not move. All of this occurs inside the fence lines. Barriers will occur inside the fence lines. But everything's going to be done on Turnpike property, except in these areas where we're dealing with woods and farms.
So now, within the existing property you have, you will now have a 12-lane highway. So you're not taking anything else that you said, just this massive concrete slab, 12 lanes.
Within the existing rights of way, again, as I said, except for the areas where we're taking it to stay on one side of the road.
You said that there'll be an area where you're just widening to one side of the turnpike. Approximately, what is the length of the widening to one side?
Well, I'm not so good at math either. I mean, width or length?
No, I mean the length of the turnpike.
The length, well, it will be from, roughly from Dutch Road to the youth sports complex. What's that? To, Church Road. From Church to Dutch, how far is that? A mile? Let me check. Yeah, here's Dutch Road. And as you can see, as we come by Dutch Road, we go on one side, up here. Stay up there until we get to Church, and then start to come back down. The right-of-way will be moved on that side that we're widening to, in the area of Hardenberg Lane, which is right in here. And we're doing that in order to try to mitigate any impact on the Beaverbrook Estates property. We'll also be adding some right-of-way to that same side of the road, just north of Dutch Road, so that we don't impact the Nenninger Lane properties. The other one, see, we're adding here too, which is below Church, to again move it to that side.
You mentioned that the turnpike will provide a quieter atmosphere for people. I can't understand with the widening to 12 lanes how it will be quieter.
We feel that the fact that we are putting up the noise barriers will more than offset any increased noise from increased traffic. No, we think it'll be quieter. We really do. that, you've got a place now where, if an old diesel truck roars by, he roars by. With a noise barrier, that same diesel truck's gonna roar by. We feel that your hearing of that will be less, and that you'll be less impacted. And that impact will be reduced not only on those properties which are directly adjacent to the pike, but also properties further away from it.
I just want to clarify one point. Exactly how many homes did you say would be taken? Is it 3, 4?
There's 4 houses, but there's 3 families, I think, in one house. There's 3 up here at the Sullivan Way area. And then, and then there's one down here, and this is the one where there's 3 signs on the mailbox. So it's 4 buildings and 6 or 7 families on it.
In between Dutch Road and Milltown Road, it seems from here as if that red line goes quite deep. Now, maybe it's dotted, I can't quite tell. That's between Dutch and Milltown. Yeah. That's the line I'm talking about. It seems like it goes quite deep.
This heavy line, which we're referring to, which goes quite deep, that really doesn't have anything to do with the Turnpike. That's the boundary line between Milltown and East Brunswick.
We will now, if everybody stays orderly, we will allow the public to ask some questions for another 25 minutes, and then we're going to leave the maps here for another half an hour. Let's please be orderly. I'll let Mr. Sullivan recognize who he wants to, so you guys won't be mad at me.
Right here in the front row.
In the areas where the houses are below the Turnpike level, the Turnpike level, and I'm specifically referring to right now on Albert Avenue in Milltown, there's a drainage problem from the Turnpike because there are large pipes protruding. There's a drainage ditch in back of the Turnpike, in the back of the fence. What's going to happen to this drainage ditch if you come back that far? Because my backyard will be underwater.
We intend, as
Sir, would you please sit down and you'll get your chance to look at the map. I don't want everybody standing up in the middle of the meeting. Little decorum, we've been doing very nicely now. I know you want to get a chance to do that. Just be patient and everyone will get a chance to look at the maps. Thank you.
the gentleman's question relates to drainage problems on those properties which are currently below Turnpike grade and where there apparently are pre-existing problems. It's our full intent and consistent with the environmental impact study that drainage problems will be solved to your satisfaction and hopefully really to your satisfaction.
Will trucks be going into the Kilmer parking area? Question 1.
Yeah, trucks will be going into the Kilmer service area roughly the same way they do now. What we're doing is taking the trucks out of the Kilmer service area a little bit differently to try to keep them away from the Hershey Road residents. Question 1, you're going to follow.
Why will not a barrier be around the whole Kilmer area? Noise barrier? Because the trucks park there and they roar and roar.
I see what you mean, back in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. We didn't have any look at that, huh? I don't know the answer to that question. We'll take a look at it. There are people here from the... Yeah, I can see that. Maybe there's something to it. Well, there's plenty of people here taking notes, and we'll follow up on it. Let me see if I can take one of this meeting. I feel a little like Johnny Carson, yeah?
Thank you for answering the question about water. This is my next door neighbor. You should know how long the Turnpike takes to fix it the first time. But beside that, we live opposite on Albert Avenue. What is the possibility? You sit down by Hershey Road, the trucks are going to be inside. Why can't you do that all
The trucks are not going to be on the inside lane here. And if I said that, I misspoke. What we're going to do is move the trucks onto the roadway on an inside route. If you put them inside, you're really defeating the whole purpose of a dual highway separation, in that you're starting to increase the likelihood of a lane crossing accident, which would be tremendously dangerous. The reason we want them on the outside is so that we don't get any crossover accidents. Now, tell me the street you live on?
Over here on Alberta. See,
Yeah, I do,
the
yeah.
opposite side. Up there.
Over here.
Right there, down here, right on the property line is our house. We don't show any sound barriers. Now, let me tell you.
Yes, we do. Proposed noise wall, right along in there. Yeah. I'm standing right next to it, it's right for me to see. It's right in here. See the yellow? The yellow line, that's all sound barrier. Okay, let me take this gentleman here, he's had his hand up for a while.
I live now right at the exit lane of the Joyce Kilmer area. Every morning when I come out, there are a line of trucks parked along the exit lane out onto the turnpike with their motors running. Will that be eliminated?
Part of our widening program, which I explained at the last meeting, is that we're well aware of that problem, and it does not, I regret to say, limit itself just to Joyce Kilmer. We have it all up and down the pike, where we simply don't have the parking at these service areas to handle the truckers. We expect to eliminate that problem, and if not eliminated, at least greatly alleviated by the construction of a separate truck service area. And hopefully they will go where the facilities are best for them. And obviously, these facilities are best for passenger vehicles, and that hopefully we can encourage the trucks to go to that facility.
So your studies have already measured the noise levels along the turnpike. Consequently, you've come up with the barriers that you've proposed. Upon completion of the expansion, if the noise, will you be doing another noise level study? And if you do, and the noise levels are higher than before, what recourse will the homeowners have? Because obviously their resale value of their homes will go down, and what recourse will they have to you or anyone else to take their homes?
Without trying to practice law without a license, I think that if, upon completion of the project, it is shown that a property has received some sort of detrimental impact with respect to its value, you're certainly going to have some sort of a recourse. If after we build the noise barriers, and it's still louder than what we expect, then I jump all over with you, the people who recommended that system. Follow up.
You do measure the noise levels?
Yes, sir.
You do make it public to this committee?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sullivan, I'll give you a chance to rest for a minute. Understand that we have a very interested township council and a mayor in this town who has authorized us to spend money and hire our own consultants. And we want to make certain that the numbers that we find in these environmental impact statements and traffic counts are legitimate and that we agree with them. So we're looking out for our own interests. It's no disrespect to the Turnpike, but we have our own interests to look out for, and we will. And we are the citizens that are affected. So we will do that, and we will measure the noise impact before, and we will measure it afterwards also. I'd like to take some privilege. I see one of our committee members in the audience, Bob O'Brien. Bob, why aren't you up here? Okay, is there any other committee member here? Please come up and let Bob have something to say too.
If it can be demonstrated that depressing the roadway from Birch to Lawrencebrook enhances or lessens the environmental impact, will the Turnpike do that? In other words, if we can demonstrate, or it can be demonstrated, I don't know if it can be, that depressing the entire roadway will lessen the noise impact and the visual impact of other people that the Turnpike is now involved are great. The Turnpike.
I don't know the answer to that question, Bob, because one problem you have when you get into a depressing and already existing roadway is you start to build in a dip. And we're trying to keep this thing as safe as we can without creating new hazards. A depression could be a dip that would be detrimental to the safety of the motoring public. We can't do that. And I don't know what reaction a proposal like that would meet with either New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection or Army Corps. So the answer really is, I don't know. Let me take the lady right in the back. The back room is getting neglected. You, ma'am, yeah. Yes. I sincerely feel, to the best of, and I'm not an engineer and I'm not a traffic expert, but I feel from the data that I've seen, the instructions that we've given the staff, that it's our intent and the results will be positive, that in the ultimate, there will be a reduction of noise impact. This particular, we originally announced the Turnpike widening on May 10th. That date, however, that announcement did not relate to this area because at that time, the best information which we had indicated that the widening would occur from Interchange 9 North. It wasn't until, I think, October, when our traffic consultants got finished with their origin and destination studies and the numbers that were applied, and the last meeting I was at, I said, and believe me, I was as surprised as the next person. That study came back and said, leave interchange 9 to 11 up at the Parkway alone and widen this down there. So I think the date was somewhere in October, and I held a press conference at that time. The reason for taking the lanes is that the traffic surveys, based upon current usage and conservative projected usages, tell us that that's what we should do. This entire thing, really, we become almost victims of the statistics. The other problem is if it says do 2.5 instead of 3, and you do 2, knowing full well that you're going to need the third one down the line someplace. Do it now rather than give you construction bother for the next 2 years, then sit for 3 years, and then come back and bother you with more construction. The feeling is once you need it, do it, get it over with, and then leave it. Yes, ma'am, this lady right here. I can't get this to you.
Well, I hope I can speak loudly enough. I hope that people can hear me, but I'm speaking on behalf of the Middlesex County Citizens Conservation Council. We've written to you and we've received no answer to our letters. We are concerned and have always been concerned about continuing construction of highways which disrupt an already populated area such as East Brunswick. We know that this roadway will not only take many houses of the people who are here listening tonight, but that it will also disrupt the lives of those who remain and also change their socioeconomic condition. We are concerned and we believe that the Turnpike Authority have the resources, their vast resources, to really begin to be the innovator of mass transportation in the state. In that way, they would be a far-sighted group that would be doing something wonderful for the entire state. Why can't they go to mass transportation? There are so many modes. We've explored the modes of transportation that are available, and there are so many. Clean route trains, all kinds of mass transportation, so that our people can begin to be accustomed to traveling every now and then on a train rather than taking up more highway after highway, which will never end until it covers us.
First of all, ma'am, I don't remember getting your letter. If you could please send me a copy. It's not my habit not to return answer mail. Make sure it comes to me, the chairman of the authority. Number one. Number two, we are impacting, I believe, 4 residences in the town. Number 3, unfortunately, we don't have a direct responsibility or obligation to do mass transit, although we try to help mass transit. by providing park and rides, and we're working on several now, and by keeping the roadway sufficiently open so that the buses, which are part of mass transit, can get where they're supposed to go. There's a converse effect too, and I suppose it relates to the basic concept of growth, whether it be in this municipality or in the state of New Jersey or in any state for that matter, as to how you handle growth. The reverse flip side of all this would probably be, and it would be a lot easier for me to say, well, leave it the way it is. And if it gets crowded, it gets crowded. The problem with that attitude, and that's what's called a no-build scenario. The no-build scenario is addressed in the environmental impact statement. What happens is, and just as sure as I'm standing here, quicker than you think, the Turnpike, especially in this area, would be so congested that people would stop using it and would start using local streets to get where they want to go. And if you think the Turnpike is an inconvenience, try to look at some towns where the people are getting off the highways and using the local streets. You can't even go out your front door and get your newspaper in the morning. That's the problem. If we get to a condition where we have traffic diversion off the pike onto the local streets, then we have a real serious problem. And that's one of the considerations that we take. Let me move up front for a second to this gentleman.
I live on Cape Court, and the entrance to the Joyce Kilmer service area now, the new proposed entrance there, is that an elevated way from the Turnpike into the service station? Is that elevated? Will there be any noise barriers there? The yellow line that runs from the 6 lanes into the, yes, is that elevated? It is not. It's got to be.
Over here, yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Well, my concern would be then the elevation, the headlights at night then is going to bounce right into my house.
Where you live?
I live on, right on the hook on the left-hand side. Go the next one down, right there. That's me. That's my camper. Yeah, that's my camper. Now, 2 things. Headlights and when the trucks downshift, they make a humongous noise. So, are we going to have light deflectors as well as a noise barrier there?
Don't know, but it's on the list to look at.
Okay, thank you.
They talk about his camper in the backyard. It's scary what these aerial photos can do. Yeah. It really is. Yes, sir.
In general terms, how effective is sound barriers? We have a 25% reduction, a 50% reduction.
Well, the heights that we're thinking of, on the average, we're looking at about a 50%.
This gentleman is representative of our environmental impact engineers. And the question was, how effective are the sound barriers? What type of a sound reduction do you get, 25%, 50%? The answer is in the neighborhood of a 50% sound reduction. Let me jump over you, sir, and that gentleman is mine.
I have a couple of questions. Some of us, for whatever reason, might have to sell our homes in the near future. I would think that a feeling by the community that the Turnpike's plans are finalized and its construction has begun might be enough impetus to allow people to sell their homes. But until then, there may be a problem in being able to sell your home for the appropriate price. People would be hesitant to buy your house. Can you explain how we get around that?
Well, as we have a concentrated relocation program that's designed to assist you in any way possible. If that problem comes up, what you do is come to us and we'll help in any way. I think
you're missing my point. What I'm saying is our homes are not necessarily right upon the Turnpike, a few blocks away. But in the minds of the public, it will say, well, the Turnpike's expanding, you're so close. How do I know it's going to, they're not going to come and take the house or take the house across the street? Prove it to me. And we're going to need some evidence. When will this evidence be available? When will the plans be finalized? And when will construction begin? Where we can have something concrete to be able to say to somebody, you don't have anything to worry about. You can buy my home for the market value.
The 30 scale plans will be finalized by the first week in April. As I said before, the environmental hearings will be held, I'm going to guess somewhere mid-April, early May. At that point, it's final. So this spring is the answer to your question.
Well, it has to be final in people's minds, not just final
Well,
with your say-so.
I understand
I
that.
would think when the construction actually begins is probably the only time people will feel comfortable that it's actually happening the way it was planned. When will that happen?
I can't pinpoint actual construction. We hope to start construction in selected areas along the roadway this summer. I can't tell you, sir, that it's going to be exactly at that point or where.
This stretch will begin sometime this summer.
As soon as we get the approval, sir.
Yeah, I have another question that I'm sure we've all thought about for many, many years. I've lived there for a number of years, and I could never understand the noise level. To give you an example, in my mind, let's assume that a reasonable noise level is 50. In my mind, the level is 200, 250. I'm not saying decimals. I'm giving a logical index.
On a scale of 1 with that.
Now, if you give a 50% decrease to 250, you have 125, and that's way above the 50 that I have in my mind. What I don't understand is, number one, is how the noise level has been tolerated until now. I don't understand. I would think it's being monitored. You claim it's being monitored. I would think there's some type of law is in effect that would say a reasonable level is some number, and that's certainly above that level, because it's impossible for it to not be above that level. You have to live here to understand that. But it is impossible, and you could ask anybody in here, that for it to not be above a reasonable level where a human being wouldn't be affected by this. And what I'd like to understand is, fine, you're going to put up these noise barriers, but would it really make a significant impact on the noise?
We feel it will make a really significant impact on the noise. And there are standards.
Yeah, okay.
There are standards
Okay.
on noise.
Are they being enforced?
The standards on noise were not in existence the last time we built the road.
No, but are they being enforced today?
I think we have to
Yeah,
let
I
some
think so.
other people talk. And three more questions.
Can he answer my
We have
question,
5 minutes.
please? He hasn't answered the question.
And then can we go on to other ones?
I have no problem with it.
Which question now? Are they being enforced? Is that the question?
Are they being enforced today?
As far as I know, yeah, as far as I know, the federal noise standards do not apply to the Turnpike. Because we are not a federal road, we do not receive federal money, we do not receive state money. These improvements are voluntary. Now, I don't know what the federal government does in terms of enforcement. Did you answer that?
The federal government only enforces the noise abatement criteria, what they call it, noise standard, when you build a new highway with federal funds. That's the only time it comes into play.
So, for example, Route 1 has been there since the 30s, I guess, so that it doesn't really apply.
You said it was a standard, though. If it's not the federal standard, what standard is it?
Well,
We follow, in this plan, we are following the federal standard. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Houses in Milltown? No. No houses in Milltown. Let me get one back. The gentleman here. Say what? Let's keep get 2 hands up. Okay.
Regarding Sullivan Road, you're taking 3 houses on the north, west, and northeast section of the Sullivan White Bridge, is that correct?
We're taking 2.
2 on one side, 1 on the other?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The roadway, the center of your roadway to the Turnpike fence, my house is what? On 596, which is the house across the street.
Let me go with it. Here?
That's it. Your point.
This one here?
That's it.
Okay.
Your Turnpike fence right now is 13 feet from my house.
Right in here.
Exactly.
Right.
You have 160 feet to 170 feet from the center of the Turnpike to the Turnpike fence, roughly.
Okay.
If you cut and indentate in toward the Colonial Pipeline and your fence, you will bring the truck lanes within 20 feet of my house, 20 feet of the Turnpike fence.
Over in here.
Right. Now, what about the environmental impact on that? Because as of this point, right now, trucks going by knock the sheetrock nails right out of my walls. There's no environmental impact there.
You want to move? Give me a call.
I would like to know now.
I'm quite serious. If you're having that type of an impact,
You must know that there's impacting.
I never heard of sheetrock nails coming out. Right. working on it.
Now, really,
I'm
I want to know,
serious.
is this the straight though? You're coming in on your own property, you're not going to move that fence.
That's correct.
But that truck lane. with
I
the
see what you're
service
talking
road-
about, move it right in here.
Right, it's
Yeah.
going to be right on top of it.
Yes, I'd just like to add to this situation. I live on the Turnpike, and the Turnpike noise, I mean, literally at night, you see me, I go from the trucks, the truck runs, you literally come right over my television set, and just the noise, the barriers, whatever they, you can give to us, we fine, but it's just a situation, I mean, what difference would it make considering traffic?
Well, we feel, again, I'm not an engineer, but the experts say,
Between Industrial Bridge being widening and the Turnpike, it's a miracle of a situation. It really is.
I never heard of CDs in Atlanta.
Oh, I have.
I never heard of that, but not to, I don't want to beg the question, but I think that's a federal communications issue, isn't it? I never even heard of that, so you learn something every week.
They sit the rest of us, talk to each other, it comes into all of the TVs.
Mr. Sullivan, please, one more question.
Okay.
Last question. Vic.
This is like pulling the 50-50. One guy's happy, there's 1,000 people that are unhappy. This gentleman right here.
The abatement devices you put up for construction.
I don't think so.
We're gonna have to put up with 2 years of that noise. Why can't we have these things put in place at least for those 2 years?
Some might be.
A few might be good, but you've got to, if you put them up and then you get somebody with a bulldozer knocks it down, you're right back to where you started from.
You have to live with the 2 years
Of the construction, and that also partly answers the question of the lady in the back before, that said, why 3 lanes and not 2 or 1? If you did 1 lane at a time, you'd be doing it for the next 15 years. We think that would be really unduly more inconvenient. I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen has asked that. It's not the question. Thank you all for your attention and again for inviting me.
Please wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, please wait 1 minute, all right? It is very important for the citizens of this town to get the inputs that you just gave, all right? And this committee is responsible for those inputs. We need the individual homeowners' complaints. We would like you to come to our meetings, contact Irv Spawn, our environmental chairman. Please, we need those individual homeowners' complaints so that we can take appropriate action. We're here to work with you. We are your committee. I want to thank you again for your decorum, and I want to thank Mr. Sullivan for coming.